Hey everyone, this is Sublime Swell, doing a tutorial here on World War II Online. It's a game that I think a lot of newbies are turned away from because of the learning curve. It's one of these games that you can't judge from your first 10 hours or even 20 hours. I think that it's like a wine or a whiskey or any other kind of drink that ferments and ages. It gets better as you play it. But I wanted to start with something that I think the games tutorial doesn't address, which is understanding what's going on. I think a big part of the game is not just getting into the battle, whatever mission is going on, but understanding how what you should be doing, what you could be doing, and how you could be helping your side. So here's the main screen. You've created your account. You've downloaded the game either from Steam or the client from their website. I recommend the client from their website. It's just, I don't know, I think it's more stable, and I think it doesn't require you to do the tutorial. You can skip it. But anyways, if you're playing out, let's say you're playing allies, you want to choose a ground unit for now, especially if you're new. It doesn't matter which one you choose. You could choose French Army, you could choose British Army, you could choose American Army, and I'll explain why that is later. So you just have to choose an allied army. We'll go with French for now. And so then you come to this active battle screen. So this is the stuff going on, yeah. But I wanted to show you some other parts of the game. I'm going to open the map, which is the next tab here. And you see this is the state of the war, right? All the towns, everything. I think one thing that new players don't understand is the supply system. I hear people complain like, oh, I want to drive tanks, I want to play aircraft, I want to do all this stuff. And that's great and I understand it, but there is something called supply in this game. And the reason, I think, well, part of the reason is they need to finance the game, but the other reason is if all newbies played tanks and aircraft, then there wouldn't be any tanks or aircraft left in the game to play. And the reason is because there's a supply chain in this game. So for example, let's pick this French town of Toulon right here, Toulon. All right, if you hover over the name of the town, it'll tell you the units that are stationed there. So this one has 12th Infantry Division, 12th Motorized Infantry Division, and the 106th, what is it? 106th Infantry Regiment. So there are 2 units currently stationed there. Each one of those units has a unique composition. For example, the infantry regiment has a certain number of riflemen, certain number of SMGs, or submachine guns, a certain number of general machine guns, AT personnel, anti-tank guns, tanks, etc. There's a certain amount in that unit, and it can run out. Every time you die, you consume one of those units from the regiment. And so you can run out of tanks in the regiment, and you can run out of AT guns, you can run out of everything. You have attrition. And so that's one of the reasons why they don't allow newbies to play all the advanced vehicles. One, because you have to know what you're doing, and two, because there would be no vehicles left because everybody would just be dying to the veteran players on the other side who are very, very, very good shots. Very good shots. So some of these guys have been around since the beginning of the game, 17 years. Anyways, so you have to know that. And then the units, each unit, see, all of these towns have different units stationed. Here's a motorized assault brigade, motorized infantry, Highlanders brigade from the British. Let's see what else is that down here. Another Highlanders brigade, a UK infantry brigade, 33rd Tank Brigade from the British. So this is why it doesn't matter which side you choose as far as the allies go, because you can choose any of the army sides and you will be placed, depending on the mission you're in, you'll be placed into the unit that belongs to. So whatever unit is being used for that mission, doesn't matter what you chose in the beginning, you're going to be placed in that. So if you choose British Army but then you're fighting here in Brakel, you're going to be placed in the reconnaissance division here that's stationed. So you'll turn into French Army. So it doesn't matter what you choose. And then so the high command. So how does this work? This is something that newbies just don't understand. It's part of the grand strategy of the game. It's because it's not just get in there and fight. You have to know what you could be doing, and so you have to know the units are moved around by a group of players. So this is the big war, big picture war. And the high command is a group of players who volunteer for it. It's kind of a lot of work. I don't do it, but um, and they move the units around. They basically they structure the war in the way that they see best. So you can see Germany here is trying to envelop us. They're trying to cut off all these divisions in here. They're coming from the north and they're coming from the south. So the German high command's playing with the units and I don't know, maybe stacking a lot of armored brigades there, things like that. These cities right here, our Allied High Command may decide to pull them back and pull them out, and just pull them back here and establish a straight line here instead of being in this little pocket. So that's part of the big game, the big picture strategy, moving the units around. The High Command does that, and so you'll see that, and you'll see sometimes you'll see notifications. In fact, right here, right now, it says one of the High Command moved the 9th Infantry Brigade from Avezd to La Capelle. So that stuff happens. Not important to really know which units if you're not high command. So, but that's important. But it's important to know that that's happening. Another thing that's really important about this game, and it's one of the activities that goes on, is forward bases. So this isn't in the tutorial. They don't show you this stuff, and this is why I'm putting it in there, because I think when you understand this and you see how cool this is as far as the grand strategy of it. And then you get down into the tactical level when you're actually in the fight, which is another thing. That's a whole other video. It's all right. So let's see. So for example, this blinking red city here, this German city, it's blinking red. It means that the High Command has declared an objective, an attack objective on it. It means we can attack that city. In this game, you can't just go up here and say, okay, I'm gonna bring my group of friends and we're gonna attack. Let's see, veteran here. You can't just do that. The High Command decides where the battles are gonna happen. They're the generals and they give the order. We're gonna attack here. So here there's an attack happening on Luz. In order to make this attack happen, in order to be able to spawn units, let's say tanks, all the heavy vehicles, AT guns you want to tow in, you have to have the forward bases. So if you look around Luz, the towns that are bearing on Luz are this other town called Tournai, the other one called Reims. If you click on either of those allied towns, you'll see a little tent pop up. Let me zoom in here. This tent right here. A little tent with a French flag. And it is, if you'll notice, it is about 3/4 of the way to Luz. It's closer to Luz than the actual city. Same thing with Reims here. Got the forward base there. It belongs to us. So forward bases are important because that's where you spawn your tanks, and that's where your trucks leave from to put your mobile spawns down around the city to attack the city from wherever you decide to attack it from. The enemy can come out and do what's called a forward base raid, and this is something that's important that you can do. Let's say it's slow in the game and there's not a lot of people online at the moment. You can go do forward base raids in preparation for attacks later on. Helps out your team, and they're kind of fun if they turn into battle sometimes, because the enemy will realize that you're trying to get it, and it'll just turn into a battle. They'll start defending the forward base. So the enemy can come out. So the enemy can come out of Luz, let's say, take a truck out and set up a mobile spawn near the forward base and go and attack it. And they can, if they blow it up, they have to place charges on the forward base tents. If they get out there and they place a certain amount of charges, it's quite a few. It takes a little while. They can gain control of the forward base. And what happens is that this forward base moves it when it belongs to them. It moves 3/4 of the way to our town, making it possible for them to attack. So let's see. They probably have some somewhere. We'll find on. It changes possession, basically. You're changing possession. The ball belongs to them, and the forward base gets closer to our town instead of being closer to their town. So, for example, here in Vervins, Vervins, they control the forward base. You see that? They have this one. So if they wanted to, they could declare an attack on La Capelle, right? You can have multiple forward bases bearing on one town. In fact, that's what we have here. The more forward bases you have bearing on a town for an attack, the better, because the more supply you have, the more, remember the units, the more units you have available to attack, because you have these, let's say here we have these two forward bases, so we've got all the units in Tournai available, and we've got all the units in Reims available for attack. So there's that big picture. Remember, let's say we have here 2 units, and over here we have another 2 more, and the Germans have, it looks like 2 or 3. So there's like that big picture of like, okay, this is 4 divisions versus 2 divisions, or 4 divisions versus 10 divisions. You could be outnumbered literally by the number of units. So that's important in a battle too. You won't see that as a new player, and you wouldn't realize it. But it's an important part of the game. There's one of the strategies is, well, we're gonna attack Luz. Maybe we won't take it today, but maybe tomorrow we'll keep fighting and we'll keep fighting. And over time, the German units in there will wear down, and you'll wear them down in numbers until they don't have that many tanks left. But we do have tanks, and so that sort of stuff decides battles over time. It's not just the short-term server population. Like, the Germans may have more people. Their defense may go very well here in Luz right now, and they may attrition our units. The same thing could happen. So forward base, yeah. So you'll see in the chat, people are announcing forward base raids. Here's a guy saying, need to take back Luz Condé forward base. Yeah, okay. He's telling us we need to get the forward base between Luz and Conde. Because why? Because they just took it. They have it, right? So we could have theoretically 2 more units for the attack on Luz, but they took it from us. So you see how it's closer to our town, to Conde, than it is to Luz. So now they could declare an attack on us here. And so you'll see people advertise. I know I advertise my mission. My mission is to attack forward bases. And there's tactics for that. There's specific tactics for that sort of mission. So let's see what else. As far as big picture goes, I gotta make sure I don't go too long. I don't want these videos to be excessively long. Forward bases, the units that are moved around, the big picture of stacking units against each other from town to town, outnumbering them if you can, things like that. The green blinking towns are defense objectives that the High Command has placed. So if you see a town blinking green, it means the Germans are attacking there. The Germans have decided to attack Ecklo, although we just took the forward bases from them, so they're not going to be able to attack us. See, we control both forward bases at Ecklo. They've declared this attack. Now they could, in order to really mount the attack, they would need to come out and get the forward bases from us, which they may be doing. They could be doing that. All this stuff happens in secret. You don't know it. The game doesn't tell you when a forward base is being attacked. There's a way to check the health of the forward base, but I won't do that here. It's just that's a little bit more advanced. But yeah, they could change hands very easily. They change hands quite a few times, I imagine, during the day. People take them back and forth, right? So that's that. I think that's good for now. When you get into the game, instead of just hopping in, one of the good things to do is just to talk to people in the chat. If you use F3, you can talk to people in the side chat. Hello, I am recording a tutorial for newbies on the grand strategy of this game. Yeah, figure out what's happening. Figure out where you'll be needed. So just ask. Just type in anyone raiding any forward bases. Any forward base raids happening. You need to figure out where you're going to need to be. And you can also type .hc, .hc for high command. It'll show you the high command people who are online. and then you can message them using .m for message, private message. Just say, you just message these guys. They're, you know, they're pretty nice, and be like, hey, I want to attack this forward base so that we can oh, he just messaged me. Look, need to attack Luz Conde forward base. So he's like, hey, we could use you here. Do this. So, you know, if you have a free account, you could hop on tell somebody to put together the mission, and you could go attack that. You know. So figuring out what you should be doing, where you should be, is really important. See that he immediately got back to me. So message people. Use the side chat. It goes to the entire Allied side. Everybody will see it. You know. And I think the community is really supportive. You'll see that they'll welcome you. These guys. Some of these guys have, like I said, been around for 17 years. They're older folks. And they have very good shots. So they know the game inside and out. So don't be afraid to reach out. It's really fun. It's really fun when, for example, the other day a friend and I were just spawned into one of our forward bases. We were, let's say here in Eklo, we were spawned into one of our forward bases because we heard that the Germans might try to get it because they wanted to attack us somewhere. So we go in there, and we're just kind of patrolling around it. And sure enough, we hear a truck coming in, and the truck's full of engineers and infantry getting ready to attack. And so we managed to it was a great thing. We managed to intercept it. I had the LMG, and we opened up on the truck, and you know, they're like, oh shit, here they come. And it turned into a battle. It turned into them. They eventually laid down a mobile spawn, and they turned into a little battle. They were trying to get to our forward base, and so right there we had a battle develop. It was a small scale tactical battle. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun, you know. And it's also fun when you take the forward base, and then you can talk to high command and say, hey, let's start an attack here. We just took the forward bases. Let's attack here. And you know, maybe 8 times out of 10 they'll say, yeah, let's do it. You know, if the big picture scenario looks good, the big picture scheme of things, they'll say, hey, yeah, let's attack. So forward bases, important. Figuring out what you need to be doing. I think that's the most important thing, is just asking, where are we planning attacks? Which forward bases should we take? What is more important at the time, defense or offense? You know, sometimes there are moments where the defensive part of it is more important. High command wants you to be in the defense mission because they really want to hold a town. And so then the offense missions that you do see, they may be minor. They may just be offense missions to draw Germans away. So, you know, if you've got, they might do 2 attack missions in different towns to try to deceive the Germans and get them to spawn into those attacks, even though those attacks are weak. You know, and if too many Germans spawn into those attacks, they'll be drawn away from the main prize, which may be Eklo, let's say. So, you know, again, the big picture thing, you know, the different objectives, they have an ebb and flow. So one attack may be a kind of a fake. It's just kind of something to draw enemy into there and take their bodies away from the main effort, and vice versa. Could do it with defense too. Yesterday we were into defense. I was pretty quiet, you know, and we were like, oh, we don't think this is their priority, because they were defending a town, and that was the priority. Yeah, so let's see, what else? Big picture stuff. Early warning system. When you see towns, let's say Luz, we're attacking right now. These little icons below the towns, they indicate the strength of the enemy in that area. When you get close to a town, when you're driving from the forward base with a tank or with a truck, or if you walk all the way to the freaking town, if you get within, I think it's like 1.5 kilometers or 1 kilometer of the town, you'll set off this radar. It's called the early warning system. You'll set off the radar, and these little things will appear under the town, and you'll get a little mission. You'll see it every now and then. It'll say enemy armor spotted near X town, Y town. Enemy infantry spotted near XY town. That's the early warning system going on. It's telling you, hey, they may be preparing something here. And when you see that, I'll zoom in. Right now, you see the little infantry guy marker and the little tank marker. They're filled in red. That means it's heavy infantry presence and heavy armor presence. When they're filled in with black, it means light infantry and light armor presence. So remember that. It's important too. At the beginning of an attack, in the initial stages, when the enemy is getting ready and preparing it and massing up in numbers, you might see a little infantry guy with black, for example, because they're sending in scouts, because they're building the mobile spawns. They're doing all the initial stuff that you do before an attack. So that's one way to get a hint of where the enemy's going next. Is to watch those early warnings, right? When you're defending a town, you might be defending a town, and you might see heavy armor and heavy infantry, and so you know something's going to happen for sure. That's going to be a significant battle. But then as time goes on, maybe you're defending, and then the Germans decide, hey, this isn't going so well, or we're going to save it for tomorrow, we're going to pull out. And you'll see the early warning go lighter, so that means there's less forces there. So that's important when you're in a battle, to see, check it out. You notice that stuff isn't happening, it's getting quieter. Check the early warning. Check the early warning. It tells you. Let's see, what else? Yeah, forward bases have no early warning. Forward bases, like I said, there's a different way to check the health, but I won't go into that. Early warnings. I'm trying to think of what else is like big picture. So this is the stuff that newbies don't understand that's really cool about the game. That really affects how things happen. It's not just a random let's attack here. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it. The early warning system, people use it actually. Sometimes, let's say, sometimes the Germans will go to a city, for example, right now in Ghent. Right now in Ghent, there's a light infantry presence. You see that? Little guy filled in with black. So they could be they're probably bringing out mobile spawns from Veteran here or from Lokeren. They've got both of these forward bases. So they're probably coming from those. Some towns, by the way, don't have forward bases between each other because they're usually like close. They could be like towns that are close to each other, and so they don't like need a forward base. So here you go. They could be setting up mobile spawns right now. In fact, we've been fighting over Ghent for several days. So they really want Ghent. But it could be a distraction. People also do it as a distraction. They'll also send like 1 or 2 guys, and they'll say, hey, drive a truck out near this town. We want them to think we're going to attack here. But the real attack is somewhere else. So there's all that. There's that deceptive aspect. They could be just setting off the early warning system here to get us to react and get us to, again, draw bodies away from the main objective. It's that whole that whole big picture deception of even in real war. It happens here. So early warning usually pretty accurate, but could also be a distraction. So be careful with those false objectives. Ask in the game. Where do you think they'll attack next? Ask the high command. Say, hey guys, where do you think they will really attack next? And people will respond. Why didn't my text go through? Hello. Oh. Hey y'all. Where do you think they'll attack next? Eklu we own the forward bases, FBs at Eklu. And they're probably going to say Ghent. Probably going to go for Ghent. So, well, I hope this helped you. I'm going to keep it at that. I want to cap it. I don't want this to be so long. But yeah, again, Sublime Swell signing off. I'll put our Discord chat in the video description, and feel free to hop on. We've got a group of friends that have completely met informally playing different games, and we just hang out and play. Right now we're playing this, taking a break from Arma, but lots of fun, lots of nice people, age groups from 15 to 65. We got everything, and as long as you behave, you're welcome to come. We'll show you the game. We'll play together. It's squad. The squad-based part of this game is another really cool part. So, all right, I'll see you all later, and hope this helps.